My broke, freeloading boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend, so I cut him off financially and let them destroy each other. You ever look back at a situation and realize just how hilariously blind you were? Yeah, that's me. A year ago, I had what most people would call a dream life. A six-figure job, a high-rise apartment, and a drop-dead gorgeous boyfriend who made me feel like I'd won the dating lottery. Jake was the whole package. Tall, charming, romantic as hell. The kind of guy who pulled out chairs, kissed your forehead, and made you feel like the only woman in the room. And I, like a damn fool, thought he was the best thing to ever happen to me. Looking back, I can't believe I ever paid for this man's dinner. See, Jake was one of those guys with big dreams and no execution. Always working on something, always so close to a breakthrough, yet somehow never managing to pay his half of the rent. But I was busy, I made good money, and I wasn't the type to nitpick over a few bills. Relationships are about support, right? Yeah, support. That's what I told myself every time I covered a trip, loaned him money, or let him borrow my car. And then there was Sarah. Sarah was my best friend, my ride or die since college, the person I could call at 2 a.m., the one who knew my Starbucks order by heart. If there was anyone in the world I trusted, it was her. So when she got along with Jake, I thought I was lucky. Not every girl can say her boyfriend and best friend actually like each other, right? Some girls have to deal with awkward tension. Me, I had a perfect little trio. Or so I thought. The signs? Oh, they were there. The longer than necessary eye contact, the inside jokes I wasn't part of, the way Sarah suddenly became an expert on Jake's favorite things. But I was busy being the cool girlfriend. I didn't question why Jake and Sarah were spending time together when I was working late. I didn't blink when Sarah joked, "If you ever get tired of him, let me know." Newsflash, she wasn't joking. Then came the dinner invitation. "I made something special for you," Sarah texted one day. "Come over tonight?" I didn't think twice. Sarah cooking for me wasn't unusual. She knew I was always swamped with work, and sometimes she'd surprise me with dinner. I actually thought, wow, what a great friend. So I went. Like a goddamn idiot. I walked into her apartment, expecting a casual girls' night. Instead, I found a candlelit dinner, 2 wine glasses, and Jake sitting at the table like he lived there. And Sarah? She didn't look embarrassed. She didn't look caught. She looked smug. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just dinner. This was a show, a performance. And the message was loud and clear. I wasn't the main character anymore. I took in the scene. The expensive bottle of wine. The way Jake was already sipping from his glass, completely at ease. The way Sarah's dress, tight, low-cut, definitely not something you wear for a casual dinner with a friend, hugged her in all the right places. I turned to Jake, expecting some sort of explanation. But he just looked at me, completely unbothered, like he was waiting for my reaction. That's when I knew. They wanted me to see this. Sarah wasn't just stealing my boyfriend, she wanted me to know she was doing it. I should have felt heartbroken. I should have screamed, cried, thrown the wine bottle against the wall. But you know what I felt instead? Amused. Because Sarah? Oh, she thought she won. She had no idea she just inherited a walking red flag. So there I was, standing in Sarah's apartment, staring at the pathetic excuse for a grand reveal she had put together. The candlelit table, the wine, the smug look on her face, it was all so ridiculous I almost laughed right then and there. Jake, sitting comfortably at the table, raised his glass at me like we were some kind of weird love triangle dinner party and not at the scene of his blatant betrayal. And Sarah? Oh, she was eating this up. This wasn't some mistake I had caught them in. This was planned, orchestrated. Sarah wanted me here. She wanted me to sit down, realize I had lost, and watch as she paraded Jake around like some grand prize. Well, joke's on her. I stepped forward, keeping my expression carefully neutral, and Sarah's smirk widened like she thought she had me exactly where she wanted. "I figured it was time you knew," she said, voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Jake and I, we just have this connection. It's not something we planned, but you know how these things happen. Do I?" I looked at Jake, waiting for him to say something. Maybe an apology, maybe some pathetic excuse. But no, he smirked. That's when it hit me. They weren't just screwing around. They actually thought I would be devastated. "Oh, honey." I let out a slow exhale, placed my bag on the back of a chair, and poured myself a glass of wine. If this was supposed to be a show, fine. Let's make it entertaining. So, I said, swirling the wine in my glass. How long have you two been sneaking around behind my back? Jake shifted slightly, but Sarah, oh, she was loving this. She was ready to bask in her little victory. A few months, she admitted, tilting her head like she was some selfless martyr. I didn't want you to get hurt, but you've been so busy. And Jake, well, he deserves to be with someone who actually has time for him. There it was. The dig. I almost choked on my wine. That's the best you've got? She thought she was being slick, but I saw right through her. This wasn't just about Jake. Sarah had always been jealous of me. My career, my success, my independence, things she would never admit she wanted. And now, she thought she had something over me. So let me get this straight, I said, setting my glass down. You stole my unemployed, freeloading boyfriend because I was too busy working? Jake's smirk faltered. Sarah's fingers twitched slightly. Oh, they didn't expect that. See, they thought I'd be angry, broken, humiliated. They thought I'd scream, cry, demand answers. Instead, I just laughed. Not the bitter, heartbroken kind. No, I laughed because this was actually hilarious. Wow, I said, shaking my head. I should be mad. Really, I should. But honestly, you two deserve each other. Then I grabbed my bag, stood up, and walked straight out the door. Not a single tear. Not a single ounce of regret. And that messed them up more than anything. Sarah thought she won. She thought she took something from me. What she didn't realize was that she just inherited a whole-ass financial liability. Because guess what, sweetheart? I had been funding Jake's entire existence. The car? Mine. The apartment? Mine. The phone bill, the Wi-Fi, the damn Netflix account? Mine. And within 24 hours, I took it all back. While they were probably toasting to their new beginning, I was at home making sure Jake's life got real difficult, real fast. Credit card? Canceled. Phone plan? Enjoy the radio silence. Car insurance? Hope Sarah has Uber money. Rent? Oh right, Jake doesn't actually have a place of his own. The best part? I didn't even have to tell him, because the very next day, I got the most desperate, pathetic text ever. Babe, I think there's a mistake. My card isn't working and I can't log into the Wi-Fi. Oh honey. That's not a mistake. That's your sugar mama cutting you off. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. Instead, I just sent him a picture of his shit packed up in trash bags by my door. Hope Sarah has room for you. You know what's funny? I didn't expect to hear about them again. I figured they'd enjoy their little cheating honeymoon and disappear from my life forever. But nope. It took less than a month for Sarah to start complaining. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot. Sarah's pissed. She says Jake keeps asking her for money and it's not what she expected. Oh darling, what exactly did you expect? She thought she was getting Prince Charming. What she actually got? A man-child who's never paid his own bills. Jake started forgetting his wallet. Jake suddenly needed a place to stay, LMAO. Jake started borrowing money from Sarah and never paying it back. Sound familiar? And the best part, she couldn't even complain. Because if she admitted Jake was a broke loser, then she'd have to admit she threw away a stable, successful friendship for a guy who couldn't even afford his own Uber ride. I'd love to say I felt bad, that I had some moment of guilt or regret, but honestly, I was too busy sipping my iced coffee and thriving. Because while Sarah was out there sponsoring my ex, I was traveling, meeting new people, and enjoying the single life without some dead weight holding me back. And something told me this was just the beginning of their downfall. I didn't have to lift a damn finger. Sarah and Jake's relationship? It fell apart all on its own. At first, I ignored them. I had better things to do than waste energy on people who weren't worth my time. But life has a funny way of delivering front-row tickets to karma working its magic. Because before I knew it, little bits of their downfall started reaching me through mutual friends. And oh boy, it was glorious. You know what's funny? Sarah really thought she was stealing some grand prize when she took Jake. She thought I was too cold and career-obsessed to treat him right. She thought he'd be different with her. Turns out, Jake was just as lazy, just as broke, and just as useless. Except now, Sarah was the one footing the bill. She started venting to mutual friends. At first, subtly, it's just been a little stressful, you know? Jake's in between jobs right now. We're trying to figure things out together. It's a process. But as the weeks passed, the mask started slipping. Jake wasn't even pretending to look for work. He started taking Sarah's car without asking. He borrowed money and forgot to pay it back. He refused to do basic things around the house. Sound familiar? But here's where it gets even better. Because while Sarah was bleeding money on this man, Jake, he was already looking for his next victim. One night, Sarah showed up at a party. Alone. A mutual friend later told me she looked exhausted, and at first, people thought maybe she was just having a bad day. But after a few drinks, the truth came spilling out. She was tired of paying for everything. She was tired of Jake sitting on his ass all day. And, best part, she was starting to suspect that Jake was talking to other women. Because, of course, he was. Jake wasn't loyal to Sarah. He was loyal to whatever woman could fund his lifestyle. And guess what? Sarah was running out of patience and money. Jake wasn't slick. He was still going out, flirting, setting up his next opportunity while Sarah worked overtime. And the dumbass didn't even try to hide it. One night, he went out and got caught at a bar with another girl. A girl who, by the way, had no idea he had a girlfriend. And Sarah? She found out in the most humiliating way possible, because someone at the bar recognized Jake and immediately texted her. Within an hour, Sarah stormed in, full psycho mode, screaming at Jake in front of everyone. Drinks spilled. People stared. Jake, ever the smooth talker, tried to gaslight her in front of an entire crowd. "You're overreacting, babe." It's not what it looks like. Except it was exactly what it looked like. The girl Jake was flirting with, she looked horrified. And the moment she realized she was the other woman, she threw her drink in his face and stormed out. A double humiliation. Jake got dumped on the spot. And Sarah? She left in tears. Sarah did what anyone with a bruised ego would do. She tried to pretend she was fine. She deleted all their pictures, went on some self-care, healing journey bullshit, and posted dramatic quotes about trusting the wrong people. Jake? He tried to come crawling back to me. He sent the classic "I miss you" text, followed by "I made a mistake." I didn't reply. Instead, I just posted a picture of myself on vacation, drink in hand, captioned, "Some mistakes you don't get to fix." And that was the end of that pathetic chapter. You know what's better than revenge? Not needing it. Because when someone screws you over, the best thing you can do, the absolute most satisfying thing, is to let them self-destruct while you thrive. And that's exactly what happened to Sarah and Jake. After the bar incident, after the humiliating public breakup, after Sarah realized she had single-handedly funded a walking red flag, things only got worse. For them. For me, I was too busy winning at life. But let's take a moment to appreciate how spectacularly they both went down. Let's start with Jake. The man had zero self-awareness. After Sarah dumped him, he tried to stay at her place, telling her he just needed a few days to get back on his feet. Girl, he had no feet to begin with. Sarah, despite being an absolute clown for ever dating him, wasn't dumb enough to fall for that. She kicked his freeloading ass out immediately, which meant Jake was officially homeless. No job, no car, no savings, no sugar mama. And that's when the desperation kicked in. First, he tried rebounding with random women, hoping to find a new financial sponsor. But turns out, word gets around, women talk, and no one wanted to be his next bank account. So what did Jake do? He texted me, and it was beautiful. Because this wasn't just a "hey, I miss you" text. No. This man had the audacity to send me a full-length novel about how we had something special and how I made him a better man. Lol. I didn't even open it. I just screenshot the notification, posted it on my Instagram story, and captioned it, "When trash tries to recycle itself." Then I blocked him, and that was the last I ever heard from Jake. I have no idea where he is now, and I don't care. Now let's talk about Sarah. Oh, poor pathetic Sarah. See, Sarah thought she was winning when she stole Jake. She thought she was special. She thought I was the problem. And then she got a front row seat to Jake being exactly who he always was. And now, she had to deal with the embarrassment of being played by the same man she thought she won. So what did she do? She went into damage control mode. First, she tried rewriting history. She started telling people that she never really loved Jake, and that it was just a fling. Oh, so you torched a 10-year friendship for a fling? Make it make sense, babe. Then, she did what all guilty people do. She started posting way too many self-growth quotes. Sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who betray us. Babe, you were the betrayer. Every mistake is a lesson. Yeah, and your lesson cost you a decade-long friendship. Honestly, watching her scramble to convince people she wasn't a fool was better than any revenge I could have planned. She ruined her own reputation. And meanwhile, I was flourishing. While Jake was couch hopping and Sarah was drowning in embarrassment, I was thriving in my career. Dating actual functional men, traveling, living rent-free in their heads, and I made sure they knew it. Every time I posted a vacation picture, every time I checked into a fancy restaurant, every time I simply existed happily, it was a reminder they lost. And I didn't just win. I left so far ahead that they weren't even in the same race anymore. Because at the end of the day, Sarah didn't steal my man. She took out my trash, and for that, I'll always be grateful.